In today's video, I'm going to break down the exact steps you need to take to lose fat, tone up, and build your hottest, fittest body ever that you'll be able to keep for life. And if you're wondering why you should listen to me, hi, my name is Megan Janice. I'm an online nutrition and fitness coach for women, and I've worked with over 500 women of all different ages and backgrounds to help them to shed body fat, build that sexy muscle tone, and be able to maintain those results sustainably for good. So in today's video, we're going to be breaking down what calories in versus calories out actually means and how you can effectively manipulate this so that you can lose more fat and build more muscle tone, eating more food and doing fewer workouts. Yes, it's possible, and I'm going to show you how. I'm also going to break down the best workout strategy that you can implement so you don't have to spend that much time in the gym, but to see way better results from the input you are doing. And lastly, I'm going to break this all down into a step-by-step plan of exactly what to implement with your food and your workouts so that you can sustainably lose fat, tone up, and be able to maintain the results for good. And I'll actually be showcasing this with 2 client examples that I myself have worked with to help them lose anywhere from 20 to 40 pounds of weight, build muscle tone, and maintain those results for good. So let's get into it. Okay, the first thing for us to look at is understanding what does calories in versus calories out actually mean. So I'm sure you've heard before that if you want to lose weight, or more specifically, if you want to lose body fat, you need to be in a calorie deficit. You need to be burning more calories than what your body is taking in, so your body will be forced to use that excess body fat that you don't want on your body anymore as fuel. And this is true. You absolutely are going to need to implement a calorie deficit somewhere in your journey in order to shed body fat for good and reveal the sexy muscle tone underneath. However, what a lot of people don't understand is how to effectively manipulate this setup and be able to get their body in an optimal position for a calorie deficit. So what I mean by saying that is how you can lose more body fat without having to eat so little food or having to work out so much. And the secret to that comes down to your metabolism. So really the key for you to be able to lose more body fat, be more toned, and stay that way for good is going to be dependent on how strong of a metabolism you create for yourself. And I want to highlight that point, that you can actually optimize your metabolism. You are not doomed to having a slow metabolism if you feel like that has been the case up till now. There are so many things you can do to improve how effectively your body works, which is what I'm going to share in today's video. Okay, so if the goal is to lose fat and tone up, meaning that ultimately you are going to have to bring in a calorie deficit, the first thing you want to ask yourself is, are you in a good position right now to be able to go into a calorie deficit? And for a lot of women, the answer is no. And that's because if you already do not eat that much food right now, it is not a good decision for you to go cut your calories any further. You really need to do the opposite. You actually need to bring your intake up, which is going to speed up the amount of calories that your body's actually used to and is burning as fuel, so that when the time does come for you to be in a calorie deficit, it's going to be so much more effective. So this process of actually bringing your intake up, starting to consistently eat more food, is called reverse dieting. And this is where you gradually, bit by bit, bring up food so that your body is going to adapt, and essentially your maintenance level calories is going to be higher. So for example, if you are like a lot of busy women and maybe right now you only eat around 1,500 calories a day, most of the time, maybe you go a lot more than that on the weekends, but kind of during the week, you're like give or take around 1,500. Well, that's not very much food. So if your body's adapted to 1,500 calories right now, going and cutting your calories from here really doesn't make sense. Instead, what you should do is spend a little bit of time getting your body adapted to burning more. So what this is going to do is it's going to speed up your metabolism so that your body is just more efficient. You're able to lean out, tone up already just by the fact that your body is burning through more fuel. So literally by eating more, you are already improving your body composition, aka how much fat and how much muscle you have. And ultimately what this is doing is when you have a big weight loss or big fat loss goal, it's allowing you to be able to go into a calorie deficit from a high calorie intake. So for example, let's look at this with one of my clients here, Valerie, who I helped lose 40 pounds, and she's been able to maintain it for good. So when she first came to me, obviously she was pretty overweight, definitely had a lot of body fat she wanted to lose, but did we just rush her into a calorie deficit very first thing? No, we did not. And why? Because she was only averaging about 1,500 calories a day. So it wouldn't make sense for us to cut her calories to 1,200 and then have to keep cutting from there. She would barely be eating anything, and she just wouldn't really be able to see very very good results from it. It would also just be very difficult to adhere to. So instead, what we did was we started to bring up her food bit by bit. And obviously also doing a good quality workout plan, which I'm going to cover a little bit later in this video. She already started to lose weight in her reverse diet. So we were able to gradually bring her food all the way up to 2,300 calories a day. And in that amount of time, she actually lost about 13 pounds. So the reason this happened is because since she started to get consistent with a good intake and gradually bring it up from there, in addition to having a good workout plan, this made her body start to burn more calories. Her metabolism became more efficient. So even though she was eating more, she was also burning more calories. Now, this ability to lose weight in your reverse diet is not necessarily going to happen for everybody. I do find women who have a bit more body fat are usually going to be able to see that result. But if you're a little bit more, say, skinny fat right now, you might not necessarily lose weight in your reverse diet, but what will happen is that you're going to see recomposition. So even though your weight might more or less maintain, fat's going to come off and muscle is going to come on. So you're ultimately going to look better, which is exactly what happened with my client Merope right here. She saw this result going from 1,600 calories a day up to 2,300 calories a day, in addition to learning how to lift weights properly in the gym. So she was able to lose fat, build muscle tone, lean out, tone up overall without having to cut her calories. And by the way, she's also only 5 feet tall, because a lot of the time in the comments, I get women asking, you know, does this only work for taller women? No, it also works for petite women. And I'm going to share some more examples later. Okay, so now that you understand why you don't want to just rush into a calorie deficit, let's talk about how you actually implement these things. How do you actually do a reverse diet? And how do you then decide when it's time to move into the calorie deficit? What you want to do is first average what your current intake is right now. The best way to do this is for you to actually track what you eat right now as it is in an app like MyFitnessPal. And after about 5 to 7 days of tracking that, you're going to find what your average calorie intake is. And out of those calories, you are going to set macros to them. So this is your protein, fats, and carbs. Instead of just thinking calories, you're going to think the source of those calories. And I can pretty much tell you, if you aren't eating in any sort of intentional way right now, just by setting appropriate macro targets to the amount of calories you're eating is going to make a huge difference right away. Because most of the time, the way that most women are eating is that they're eating quite a lot of fat, and then they're not eating enough carbs and protein. And this is actually why you have more body fat and you don't have as much muscle definition as you want, because you need a higher amount of carbs and protein in order to build that lean muscle mass tissue. And if you're eating too much fat, you're also going to be storing too much fat on your body. So this is the thing. You don't have to just be dropping your calories right away. Just by getting the right ratios of food already and getting consistent with that, you're going to start to see a lot of improvement. Now, I'm not going to break down how you figure out what those targets should be in this video, but I have made several others. So you can click here and follow the video that's going to tell you exactly how to customize your macros step by step. Okay, so once you have those numbers, essentially what you're going to be doing is about every 1 to 2 weeks, you're going to be increasing about 60 to 100 calories. And this is mostly going to go to your carbs, assuming that you are already eating as much protein as you need to be eating, which for most women is going to be like 120 to 150 grams of protein per day. Now, it's really important that to make this work properly, number one, you have to actually be consistent. So a lot of people say like, oh, I did macros, it didn't really work for me. Well, I can pretty much guarantee if it didn't work for you, it's probably because you are not actually really tracking that consistently or that correctly. So you have to be quite honest with yourself, really make sure that you are tracking properly, that you're actually weighing things out, that you're really making sure that you're tracking everything that you're eating, not forgetting about all your coffees and condiments that you had, because obviously that adds up, and to make sure that you are actually adhering to your macro targets, that you are within a couple of grams of every single macro target, not like 50 grams over or under one day and then 20 grams over or under the next. Okay, now assuming that that is in place and you're doing that 5 to 6 days a week, the other thing you want to be keeping track of is your body weight, and you also want to be taking progress pictures, because you just want to understand how your body is responding to what's happening. Because again, with the example of my client Valerie, like I said, she was actually losing weight in her reverse diet, and we know this because we were taking weekly progress pictures and we were paying attention to her scale trend over time. So once you have bumped your calories all the way up to at least a consistent 2,000 calories a day, you know, give or take, but usually I think most women really do need to be eating at least 2,000 calories a day. And yes, this is even for women who are like 5'1" or even less than 5 feet tall. If not higher than that, if not like 23 to 2,500 calories a day. So for example, with my client Valerie, the reason that we knew it was time for her to start moving into the calorie deficit is because we kind of maxed out the potential of the reverse diet once she got to around 2,300 calories a day. She was no longer losing weight at that point. She was kind of just maintaining her weight. And that's actually not a bad thing, but just because with her specifically, she still had a lot more weight she wanted to lose, that's how I knew it was then time for us to move into the calorie deficit. So the way that you're going to transition from reverse diet to calorie deficit is off the bat, you're going to take somewhere between, probably 200 to 300 calories right out of your intake. And that's going to come from your fats and carbs. Your protein is going to remain the same. Now, the other thing you're going to do to help create a calorie deficit for your body to really maximize the fat loss is also going to be increasing your actual movement. So you can also add in a little bit of kind of medium intensity, steady state cardio sessions, whether that's on the Stairmaster, incline treadmill, or bike. I usually start my clients out with 2 30-minute cardio sessions a week. And then as we go through their deficit and we have to make adjustments to keep pushing along their fat loss, usually I'm going to add in a third. And a lot of the time by the end, maybe they have a 4th cardio session. Rarely is there a 5th. Now, the other thing you can add in, of course, is just a higher step count. And honestly, I find this really effective. You don't necessarily need to do the cardio sessions if you keep a really healthy, high quality step count, around 10,000 steps a day, even a little bit more if that is something that you can do and something that works well for your body. Okay, and then essentially the way that you're going to take yourself through your calorie deficit is, again, you're weighing yourself every single day, you're taking weekly progress photos, and you are making sure that you are hitting all your targets. You're doing all your lifting, you're doing all your cardio sessions, getting in your steps, and then what you want to be looking for is that you are hitting a new low on the scale, generally speaking, about every 3 weeks. If 3 weeks have gone by and you have been completely perfect with all your protocols and you have not seen a new low in that period of time, that is when you should be looking at what you're doing and making some kind of adjustment. Either you want to be doing a decrease in your food, or you want to be doing an increase in your cardio/steps, or maybe you want to do a bit of both. And essentially, this is the plan that you're going to follow for probably somewhere between, 4 to 6 months, but it could be a little bit longer than that. And in that period of time, you can expect to lose anywhere between 10 to 30, maybe even 40 pounds of fat. Now, obviously, this just depends on how much fat you have to lose. If you're already more overweight, you can expect to lose in that more 20 to 40 range. If you're kind of on the skinnier fat side to start, you can expect to lose probably more like 10 to 15, maybe maximum 20 pounds in that period of time. Okay, so I'm just going to share another example of a client that I did this with recently. This is my client Karen, who lost 20 pounds in our time working together in just a 4-month deficit. And I want to share that this client is only 4'11", okay? Because again, I get the comments asking if this works for petite women. This is actually the smallest, shortest client I have worked with yet, and this absolutely still worked for her. So when she came into the program, she definitely had more body fat than she wanted already, but obviously it's not like she was like very overweight. She was just kind of in that skinny fat starting position. And the good thing was that she didn't have to spend much time reverse dieting because she was already eating at least 2,000 calories a day, if not more than that. So we just spent a little bit of time, about 1 month, getting her consistent with actual macro targets, which again, even just the consistency of hitting specific targets instead of just eating randomly already started to give her a bit of a body composition improvement. And then of course, we also got her doing some strength training, lifting weights in the gym 3 times a week, and getting her to send in form videos to me to be able to review what her lifting actually looks like, because that is so important as well in this whole journey. Because since we want to be toned, we want to have a fast metabolism, we want to make sure that we are doing what we need to do to build muscle. It's not just nutrition, it's also the way that you train. And this is where lifting challenging weights, making sure that you are progressing over time in the gym, doing quality controlled reps, full range of motion, time under tension, all of those good things are being ticked off. That is what is going to really make the difference. And that's why this client, when she lost weight, she actually is so toned underneath, is because we didn't just lose weight, we made sure that there was muscle as well. So since she didn't really have to spend that much time reverse dieting, she was already all set to go into a cut. All we had to do was drop her calories twice in her deficit in order for her to lose 20 pounds. Now, this is going to depend on every single person. Some people have to drop their calories more frequently than that. Like my client Valerie, we had to drop her calories 7 times throughout her 8-month deficit for her to lose 40 pounds. But it really just depends. And this is why you need to be tracking data, because so long as you are seeing that consistent overall downward trend happening on the scale, that means your protocols are working for you and you don't really need to change anything. You just need to keep going and the results are going to keep happening. But once once you do start to see that you are plateauing a little bit, you haven't had a new low in a while, even though you've been spot on with your protocols, that's when you make the adjustment. So with her, she was able to lose 20 pounds going from 2050 calories a day at the start of her reverse and then into her cut with 2 drops. We finished at 1715 calories a day and boom, 20 pounds down over the course of about 4 or 5 months and lots of sexy muscle definition underneath. Okay, so let's talk about how you actually maintain these results now, because this is once again where you need to know how to reverse diet. And this is why it is such an important tool, because this is where so many people shoot themselves in the foot. Is they do a calorie deficit, they lose a bunch of weight following something, kind of restrictive for a period of time, but then they don't know how to actually maintain it sustainably. So this is why so many people are always yo-yo dieting. So the way that you prepped yourself for the calorie deficit with your reverse diet is exactly how you're going to maintain the results after your deficit. You are once again going to do a reverse diet. You're once again going to gradually bring up your food bit by bit, slowly decrease the amount of cardio that you're doing so that your body is going to adapt. Your metabolism is naturally going to start to burn more fuel as you gradually feed it more. And that is how you're going to be able to overall maintain the results you achieved in your deficit at a higher, more sustainable intake. All right, fam. So this is how this works. This is how you lose fat, tone up, and maintain those results for good so you can be lean, toned, hot, and fit year round for the rest of your life. Now, I know this was a lot of information in this video, and it's kind of confusing to know exactly when and how to put all the details together, which is exactly why we offer an online one-to-one coaching service where we do all of this for you. We completely customize your strategy, review it every single week, and make the necessary adjustments based on your specific data. And then, of course, we are giving so much ongoing encouragement, support, feedback, looking at your exercise form videos, making sure that all the boxes are being ticked, and if you're struggling anywhere, coming up with a plan that is going to work for you, for your life, to be able to make sure you're ticking the boxes that need to be ticked. So ultimately, you're going to be able to lose that fat, build that muscle tone, and have the hot, fit body you really want to have and keep it for good. So if you're interested in getting that one-to-one guidance, you don't have to figure this all out on your own and not be held accountable or not be guided through what to do, click on the link in the description, fill out an application. We'd love to chat with you and see if you'd be a good fit for our one-to-one coaching. All right, fam, thank you so much for checking out this video. And next, I want you to go watch this one here, where I'm going to walk you through what a day in the life is like in terms of how I eat, how I work out. And this actually is from my last cut. So you're going to see what I was doing in my fat loss phase to be able to lean out and tone up for good. So I'll see you in that one.